Amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But under the right circumstances, a producer could make more money with a flop than he could with a hit. Yes, it's quite possible.
Welcome to the NFC Least Show, the only show keeping the NFC East honest. Williams, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing all right, hanging out. How about yourself?
Doing good. It's been a minute since we've gotten back on this game. Training camps are started, but we have not finished our off season yet.
It's still the off season. I don't care about training camp at all.
I've already seen so many. Like, I saw one tweet that said J.J. Arcega-Whiteside looks faster this year, and I'm like, I'll check back in 4 weeks.
Right.
So let's finish our off season before we get into training camp and start getting through the rest of our ALL-2000s teams. Last we left off, we did the defensive front seven. I think it's only natural that we go right into the offensive front five. Let's get into the hogs. Let's go in the offensive line, buddy.
Fire it up. Okay.
All right. What do you want to start with? Do you want to start interior going out or exterior going back in? Let's do interior going back out because that's I like arguing centers first, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say. It's got to be contentious either way, but this way especially. All right. I also have a metric that I included just for my own joy in this that I don't think you included that I'm excited to talk about as well. Is it let's start pancakes from Madden 06?
No, it's not. You know what? Actually, let's do outside going in because then I can tee up that metric better.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to do? Let's just do tackles. Do you want to do both? I can give you both my tackles first.
Did you divvy them up by right and left?
Yes.
All right. Let's start with the right tackle, and then we'll go to the left side.
All right.
If that works.
I mean, I picked two left tackles, but I picked the left tackle that I think could play right better than the other one.
Okay.
So my right tackle is Trey Thomas, Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. I'm not surprised by this at all.
That is the most anticlimactic response.
Yeah, this is fully in line with my predictions.
How could it? I mean, Trey Thomas has to be on your line at some. He's not. Oh no! Oh no! All right, nope. Who's your right tackle, man?
I picked John Runyon of the Eagles. The actual.
So you actual just all right. You're a purist.
Yeah. I think Runyon is the guy at that spot. I think Trey Thomas probably considered the better tackle of the two, right?
Trey Thomas is 100% the better tackle of the two.
Yeah, but I mean, it's close. Like, Runyon was a really, really good tackle. I mean, very reliable.
100%. I thought he was a little bit undersized, but like not to a way that it would make him any less of a great tackle. He was kind of one of those like classic Andy Reid, like we're going to coach him up from nothing to be like an all-pro kind of guy. I think Trey Thomas just had more going. Like, I think he'd be a great left tackle on any team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's your right tackle.
And that's why I have full faith in him. Unlike,
this is like putting Michael Strahan at outside linebacker. You're like mad scientisting a little bit too much for me. This is so many.
Unlike Jason Peters kicking into right guard, I think that Trey Thomas can kick out to right tackle.
Right.
That's what I really believe that in my soul. What like he can backpedal. I love one of my favorite part of Trey Thomas's game was the violence he had with his hands. I feel like that translates across both sides of the line. Like, I get he'd have to learn a bit about how to backpedal, from the right side, but I don't see how that's not convince me otherwise why I should drop Trey Thomas.
Well, just for John Runyon. I think John Runyon is the right tackle on the exact same Super Bowl Eagles team, like the exact same dynasty
mid 2000s team. He was voted like the dirtiest player in the league, him and Heinz Ward, like every year, which is exactly who I want on my team.
Fine, man. Fine. I get it. Well, can I at least say who my left tackle is and why?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Flozell Adams is who I have at left tackle.
Wow. Okay. Now we're talking.
Like, I can't. Do you understand the logic there? Like, I felt like I couldn't not have Flozell. I went big.
Yeah.
I want like just meaty men.
Clip that. Can we get that
going? Just huge, massive sandbags on my offensive line.
Sure.
You can't move these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, guys, that, like, one thing I love about both Trey Thomas and Flozell Adams is like they both have feet. Like, they're not, you know what I mean? Like, they both have feet and hands. Like, both backpedal well, both are athletic, both initiate contact well. I love both those tackles. I want them bookending. You know what? Like, you're wrong. Okay. Trey Thomas, these are the best tackles. I don't care who your other tackle is. Who's your other tackle?
I took Chris Samuels of the Washington Redskins, which is who they were. That's who they were. 6-time Pro Bowler. Dude was underrated because his teams were so bad.
He wasn't even on my list.
Yeah, no, he was a stud, but just completely, that's one of the downers about offensive line is you can lose. If your team's not good, then you're just kind of forgotten about, unless you're like kind of made a meme like Joe Thomas or something. But Chris Samuels, very reliable. Part of this was a longevity pick for me because he played like pretty much throughout the whole 2000s. He was drafted in 2000 and was there the whole time. But really like a freak athlete, came out of college, I think got hurt like pretty early on, but could just do everything. And so I went with him. I did consider Flozell, but Flozell to me had like a short peak, he wasn't like dominant the whole time. And I also think, this is my Giants bias. I just remember in the 2007 playoffs, like the Giants rotating defensive line, like literally tiring out the offensive line rather than the other way around. Like there was such a thing as being too big. I considered David Deal, just had to have him in there at some degree. And then I considered Trey Thomas. Trey Thomas would probably be the other more natural choice, but, I wanted to change things up. I went Chris Samuels. The dude is absolutely legit. He had a scary situation and he had to retire because of some like hit he took that left him like temporarily paralyzed, which is horrifying. But, I think if you put Chris Samuels on literally any other team in the East in the 2000s and people actually remember his name.
Man, I love this pick because I have no idea who this person is.
This is what I'm talking about. He's legit.
What a pull. I can't believe I thought I did my due diligence trying to find just like, I have no memory of Chris Samuels.
Yeah.
I don't particularly remember him doing a great job against the Eagles defensive line.
Well, he was like those Quentin Portis crazy like rushing seasons.
Yeah,
that was literally just him.
Yeah, I understand, man, but this is where I think my like mid 2000s Eagles blinders are just like on in full effect. You got Washington kind of languishing, and if throughout this entire 10-year stretch, right? And it's like, I'm not going to notice the one great offensive lineman on their team,
Right. Why would you? Well, that's why he's here on my team.
You might just win this whole thing just from that pick, even though this isn't a competition.
I mean, Trey Thomas is, would be an extremely valid left tackle pick as well. Flozell, I think, is just specific to a very certain style. You get big fast with Flozell, which is why I'm curious to hear who your left guard is, especially. But walk me through this metric thing also.
So, I also rated the YouTube highlight videos for each of these players.
I need to look if Chris Samuels have a highlight video.
When I went back and did this, did some scouting, I also took the liberty of rating the quality of the highlight videos of these players.
Right.
Flozell, I gave a 3 out of 5, the one I could find. It was an officially Cowboys produced video. It was only a minute and a half long, but man, camera angles on point, showing some great offensive line violence. Really a great video. The only complaint was it's too long. Gave it a solid 3 out of 5. Trey Thomas, man, 1 out of 5. It was a horrible video, dude. It was like
who produced it?
It was a fan produced video. That's automatically is a dark mark because you're working with TV footage, right?
Yeah.
The video rarely focused on Trey Thomas himself. A lot of it was just like generic 2003 to 2005 Eagles offense highlight footage. And it kept shifting between different Instagram filters. It had like a very generic soundtrack. And also the few plays that did highlight Trey Thomas, very few were like him doing his job well. It was like him making remarkable recoveries after letting a defensive end go.
It's like worst case scenario.
I see the case the video is trying to make. Like, yes, it is impressive that he's able to sprint back and like get a chop on like a defensive end chasing down McNabb. But it's like, you've already failed at your first task if you're an offensive lineman put in that position. I don't know why this highlight video is like, what a great Trey Thomas play to like throw into here, you know?
He's not pancaking anybody. There's no
It's like Michael Strahan like running free into the backfield and like Trey Thomas like recovering and like getting a shoulder in before he can like Strahan get an arm on McNabb. You know what I mean? Like like stuff like that. It's like these is not offensive line highlights. So that one got a 1 out of 5 for me.
Okay. That's good intel.
Did you find a Chris Samuels video?
No.
I don't think this player exists. If there's no YouTube highlight video,
there's like
I don't remember him.
Yeah, there's like a fan like compilation video of like 2000s players like Quentin Portis and like that kind of thing, and he's in that. There's no like real game footage though. YouTube thinks I'm looking for Curtis Samuels, which I'm not. That makes sense. It's a natural mistake for YouTube.
I get it. I just love the idea of Curtis Samuels being a left tackle.
Oh, yeah. That would actually be a good time. Like, make an out of position team of current NFC East players. Like Alfred Morris is my middle linebacker. I'm just blocking that in.
I think that's our next offseason right there.
He's getting more and more abstract with it as we go. Well, the reason
now it's like, you know, Brandon Jacobs can be a defensive end. Tim Tebow can be a tight end. It's where the league's going anyway.
But Sean, that would be like the natural thing to do. What would end up happening is I'd be like, so turns out Jabril Wilson in middle school, he played 3 weeks at quarterback, and I think that plus his natural athletic abilities is enough to we wouldn't just be like, here are the normal things to do. We'd go completely off the rails with it.
I can't wait. We're gonna start the countdown clock now for another year. But let's finish this off-season special first. All right, at guard. Let's do you want to do right and then left?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, at right guard, I had Rich Seibert.
Rich Seibert. Wow. Yeah. Okay. What a pick.
I think just in general, I wanted the interior Giants line to be as represented as possible because I felt that was the strongest of those late 2000s New York Giants lines. And I just couldn't justify anyone besides Rich Seibert at guard.
I took Chris Snee.
Okay.
The other Giants guard of the era.
It was a toss up between I was a toss up between those two. Deal was the tackle, right?
Yeah, Deal was a tackle. He did like swing between a lot of stuff over the years before kind of settling into tackle, which is why he's confusing. And really the only reason why he got consideration like on my team for a second is it was like he was a good tackle, but his real utility was he could like somebody else went down, he would just go to their spot and do it. But that's not when you're building a all decade team. That's not enough. Kind of like the Ben Zobrist of tackles.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to hear what your breakdown is as a aficionado of Seibert versus Snee.
Yeah.
I'm probably not. I just picked the one I thought was better.
I think
also no highlight package for Rich Seibert, so very hard.
I believe that. Rich Seibert is kind of the forgotten man, I think, on that line in a lot of ways. My guess would be consensus would say Snee was better, but Snee also kind of got the publicity bump of being Tom Coughlin's son-in-law.
That's
if you
right.
remember any of that coverage at the time.
I
People
do.
loved that. People were really all about it. Was like the Hani Jones, like playing the ukulele type coverage. Like
Is Dahani Jones going to get name dropped in every episode of this series?
If I have it my way.
Yeah. So Chris Snee marrying Tom Coughlin's daughter does not, on the Dahani Jones local media scale, ranks lower than ukulele, but possibly higher than performed well at week 3 of preseason.
Right. Exactly. Somewhere in that, we need to build out the whole scale. Okay.
But Snee, if I remember correctly, Snee was a little bit smaller than Seibert, wasn't he?
Snee was kind of smaller, yeah.
I think that was what my logic was. If I'm going back to me creating this list,
are you Dave Gettleman? What?
Like I said, I want big, meaty points on my fucking line, dude.
Just put them on a scale, and whichever one's bigger, just put them in. I don't care about anything else. Oh, Jesus. It's like, is Albert Hainsworth your center? Like, where is this going to go? No, I think Seibert's a very credible choice. They were also kind of like, they hit their peaks at different times a little bit, Snee and Seibert. Like, Seibert was probably like one of the better Giants, like later in the 2000s, Seibert and Deal, I would say, whereas Sean O'Hara and Chris Snee kind of, I'm probably wrong about this, but it felt to me like they tapered off earlier, Yeah. And we're kind of by like 2009, who knows? But since this is just covering the 2000s, I guess that we're good there. But yeah, I would take Snee over Seibert, which is what I did. But certainly, I think
when viewed in the whole,
it's hard to go wrong. And Snee, I would guess, was smaller.
I think that was my logic. I think in my head, I viewed them as a push between the two, and I just went with the bigger one.
Yeah, right. Okay.
All right. Left guard.
Fine by me. Left guard, I went. Sorry, I'm looking up Snee Seibert weights here. Seibert is a little bigger, so there you go.
There you go. My logic prevails.
Left guard, I did that thing I do where I throw longevity out the window and I just go with like dominance. And I took Larry Allen of the Dallas Cowboys, considered one of the best guards of all time, but most of that is 90s production. However, in the 2000s, he was still a complete beast, even if he was pretty old. And I think an anchor for those hard-charging Cowboys teams of like the pre-Romo era, kind of the only thing keeping the Quincy Carter and Drew Bledsoe years afloat.
I can't believe you did that.
Who do you want? Who do you have?
Todd Herremans, dude.
No.
What do you mean no?
If you put Herremans instead of Seibert, I would have been more understanding. I think Larry Allen is like I think he's a must-have.
I had Larry, but I didn't throw longevity out the window. I just most of his production came in the 90s, and I was like, I'm not going to have it.
Yeah, sure. Was he like 32 when the 2000s started? Maybe. I would take 45-year-old Larry Allen over Todd Herremans, though. I will slander Todd Herremans right now. I don't think he was a critical piece on those Eagles offensive lines.
He was a super critical piece on those Eagles offensive lines. Are you kidding me?
I'm not.
What?
They were all tackles. They were all tackles. That's what
How
it was.
many inside draws to Brian Westbrook where he just followed Todd Herremans?
How many bubble screens to Brian Westbrook? Because Andy Reid was like, Todd Herremans is an incompetent buffoon. He's going to get blown up if I run too many inside runs. That's what it was. That whole offense was outside in because you had to keep it away from the Todd father. I don't respect Todd Herremans. I'm sorry. Give me.
You don't even respect Todd Herremans. It's not even like
literally. If Todd Herremans was like, "Hey, can I come on the show? Like, we can hang out," I'd be like, "No, no."
Our first guest, an actual NFL player. You're denying Todd. All right.
No,
Todd Herremans, enemy.
Not even respectfully decline. Just be like, literally, fuck off.
This show runs outside in. There's no room for Todd Herremans.
Right. I consider myself the Brian Westbrook of this production. Well, all right. I mean, look, I'll respect
Todd Herremans at all. On my highlight video rating, he ranked the highest.
Okay, walk me through it.
Amazing soundtrack, very mellow, Dave Matthews Band-esque guitar over the entire thing. Very pleasant video watching experience. It was recorded on an iPhone, like watching a TV playing like clips in slow motion. So the guy like did like the dynamic zoom on the iPhone camera, like zooming in specifically on Todd Herremans, which I thought was like a pretty brilliant way to like cut highlight footage when you don't actually have like like access to all 22. I thought it was really well done. And you know what? If someone's that inspired to make a video like that about Todd Herremans, I think that means you're wrong.
Who are you? Okay. I found out the real reason. I just looked up Todd Herremans, and he's 6'6" and 325 pounds. So of course he was going to be on your offense. This is the biggest. These guys are going to get winded running through the tunnel, dude. Holy smokes.
Oh man. Well, I think it's going to be an air raid style offense. My hope is that they're only on the field for about 2 to 3 minutes per possession.
I mean, at this point, I do get where you're going for, just complete like new like physics, like mass force equals mass times acceleration type stuff. Like you just line up a literal ton of human being out there as a wall.
Yeah.
Okay, and you go from there.
And they got some legs too in there. They're not oafs. Maybe Todd Herremans is an oaf.
Yeah, it's like he seems.
All right, center. Last one. Last one before we're done with this. My center, Sean O'Hara.
We finally agree.
We agree. Yes. There we go.
Yeah, I was worried that Sean O'Hara was going to be like a homer pick, but I couldn't really think of that many other like truly standout 2000 centers. I had Andre Garrod on the list from the Cowboys. He notably was stepped on by Albert Hainsworth, if you remember that. He's the guy who Albert Hainsworth like drove his cleats into. He was a really good center there for a hot minute, but kind of just for a hot minute. O'Hara, I think, is like probably the anchor of the Giants lines, of the era. Undersized again a little bit, but kind of classic cerebral center type, of some very strong running attacks for the Giants in the 2000s.
I couldn't have said it better myself, mostly because I can't say what you just said about Sean O'Hara. I just knew he was very good and kind of like the obvious choice. I also had Andre Garrod. I also had Hank Fraley on my list.
Sean O'Hara,
Sean O'Hara, I just thought was a little bit more nimble, a little more quick, smart center, like you said, easily like a bona fide anchor of an offensive line. Maybe he's the one that I'm trying to get out on the perimeter on screens instead of anyone else on my line. Maybe it's like he snaps it and starts running and all four of my other guys stay in. Like, I don't, with the way everyone else is really bulky, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I do think that he's kind of like almost like a proto Kelsey, you know, Jason Kelsey type of guy. Like, I think Kelsey's probably even smaller just because of the modern game.
Yeah,
but like,
O'Hara's definitely bigger than Kelsey, but he definitely plays the game. He plays the center position similarly to how Kelsey or Jeff Saturday, et cetera, did.
Yeah, for sure. I think Saturday is another great call out in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like the obvious pick. So, I mean, we agree on that. Everyone else.
We finally got one.
I don't know. I'll take my big meaty boys any given Sunday.
Okay. Over my random.
I felt like
Chris
you were trying.
Samuels.
I think you were trying to be too hip. I think you were trying to be a little bit too.
Of course.
I'm going to reach into my. I'm going to prove my bona fides with the offensive line instead of being as practical as you probably could have or should have been.
Well, maybe. I mean, I think that Chris Samuels is probably the deep cut. I stand by the Larry Allen pick. I think Larry Allen even later would. He gives that size that I need kind of next to my relatively undersized line elsewhere. So, you know, I'm cool with it, man. We're here. The guards are here to pull a lot. We're going to run the ball a lot. We're not going to pass too often. This is NFC East football, man, in the 2000s. It's got a very specific style to it, and that's what I'm going for. A lot of mean, dirty players who like to hurt people.
Yeah, I do think my guards are physically incapable of pulling. I think my offensive line is two directions, like backwards and forwards. There's no
lateral movement.
All right, man. Let's put a button on this one. Until next week.
Okay. Sounds